Bollocks! 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 Bollocks!
Hello everybody and welcome to Toyah at Home.
Toyah and Robert, your agony aunts, waving to all our chums out there and ready to serve a pile of utterly useless answers to only a few of your many burning questions.
Pages, pages, pages. There's more than a few burning questions here. Malcolm Coghill, you say, my number one granddaughter loves unicorns. Please look at the back of the room. But my number two granddaughter is a skeptic. How can we prove the existence of unicorns? This is very, very easy. The morning mist is made for unicorns to run upon at sunrise. So granddaughter number two only has to get up early to see it.
Well, I was going to say scepticism is to be encouraged, but so is the innocent eyes of youth. So if we have two young people who dispute this, then let us hold an open heart and an inquiring mind.
And why is skepticism supposed to be encouraged?
So that we don't believe all the horse shit that we're served.
Yes. So we can recognise fake news. I love it. Diego Poot. What is your favourite best audience experience?
All right, well, for me, it's the 20th of October 2016 at the Cathedral in Córdoba, Argentina, with the Symphony of Crafty Guitarists. About 75 guitarists in this wonderful sacred space, playing to an audience of about 200, including quite a larger number of nuns from the retreat house, which was hosting us in town.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I've only played Wembley Arena twice in London and every time it's been life-changing. There is something about a large audience that alters even the performer. It's magical. But one of the largest audiences I ever experienced was Gay Pride in Clapham Common in London about 1998, and there was 250,000 people in that audience. You could not see the back of the crowd. It was absolutely magical. Then I want to go to the other side of the spectrum of size of audience. In Richmond, Yorkshire, there's the oldest ever Georgian theatre. It has 10 benches. It's tiny. It's half the size of this room. And when I played there about 5 years ago, they slightly broke the rules and they fitted about 200 people in instead of 99. And it was such a magical night to have these people trying to rock out like sardines in a can in this beautiful old theatre. Another theatre that most performers in the UK will laugh at when I say the name is Leeds Variety. Now the stage literally slopes like that. And when I did a play there 10 years ago, the lead actress and playwright slipped and actually rolled down the stage and landed on the front row. And she wasn't the first. She was not the first to have this happen. There are so many beautiful experiences when I've been in the profession for 45 years. And how many years have you been in the profession?
54 years, dear.
There's lots of beautiful stories. Scott Hagar. In 1986, I was an employee at a hotel in Washington, D.C. and had the pleasure of having one Patricia Fripp give a motivational speech. So I'm wondering, where do the two of you find your motivation and inspiration, especially in this time of lockdowns?
How would you say that, lovey?
Oh, for me, it's an overwhelming sense of only having so much time to achieve my ambitions and my dreams. Now, the thing about lockdown for both of us, and I don't think we're unique in this, it gave us time to think. It gave us time to reevaluate, to redream, to reset. And it gave us more time when time is so precious. our days are spent doing press. I mean, my days are eaten up with doing press. And in the last 2 months, we've been shooting videos non-stop. And before that, recording an album non-stop. Both very valuable things to do, but to have time to reset has been so motivating. We realised that it wasn't going to last forever. This kind of industry silence, because of lockdown, became very, very precious, and that motivated us.
Well, in terms of motivation, for me it's primarily what I feel is required of me. So that's professionally, personally and domestically. Professionally, that goes to vacation. Personally, that goes to what's the sense of the inner life. But domestically, I feel responsible towards my wife. Inspiration, my wife. My wife is currently my inspiration, obviously because I'm close and I see the remarkable amount of commitment and sheer energy that goes into the work. But that only goes so far. You need a creative spark, a sense of otherness to take you further than that. And in my wider professional life, I'm inspired by Tony Levin, who is all that I would aspire to be as a musician.
He's just breathtaking. He's Superman. He's Superman of music, I think. Now, we've got 2 questions here, and they both relate to Sidney Jake. Daniel Crampf, my guess as to the identity of Sidney Jake is Ben of Crimson Guitars. And Robin Riley says he guessed Sidney Jake is Dave Grohl, but there is a large body of water between the two. Well, the clue could be there, Robin, because there isn't a large body of water between Sidney Jake and George Clooney, who now lives in Berkshire.
Wow.
So Sidney could very well be George Clooney.
Wow.
Do you want to add to that, Robert?
Do you think I might have been given guitar lessons to George Clooney, dear?
Great, bring it on.
All right.
Invite him over for lunch. Peter Stewart, you were a journalist at the Eastern Daily Press and Eastern Evening News, and you wrote a rock column entitled Here and Now. I remember interviewing Toyah on the telephone. My question to you, are you aware when a journalist is interviewing you and doesn't know anything about you or your music, but is just going through the motions? Oh my goodness, where do I start? Firstly, we do PR, and PR exists to get info out to the listener and to the reader. If a journalist is so disinterested and so lazy, they don't deserve their job. So I am very aware, and this hasn't happened for a long time, but about 15 years ago I was up against this when the re-emergence of 80s music was just ascending. Now, we're fully back on 100%. I tell everyone who's about to interview me, read my website. It's phenomenal. Read Wikipedia. Do not ask me about my childhood and school, or I'll just fall asleep. But I was going through a period of time about 15 years ago when these are questions I was asked. And you've got to bear in mind, if you don't know who I am and you're watching, I'm a multi-award-winning singer. I'm a multi-award-winning singer-songwriter. I'm a multi-award-winning actress. So these were questions I was being asked in interviews. It would start with, what do you do? Or, how do you feel about singing again? I would have just come off stage at Wembley Arena. I've been in this profession for 45 years. Have you ever tried your hand at acting? I have actually been asked that. Have you ever tried to write your own songs? Yep, I've been asked that. Also, I loved you in Breaking Glass. Well, that's the award-winning actress, singer-songwriter Hazel O'Connor. And you just realise if people are going to ask you those questions, they are in the wrong job. Thank you, Peter, for that question.
Well, I differentiate interviewers to the professional and personal levels of interest. So, first of all, there are, let's just say, honourable good writers who'll be sent by the magazine to get the piece, and they're not particularly interested in you, but generally they've done some homework, and I answer their professional questions with as much as I can give, and that's honourably discharged. Then there are some personal characters who come who have really genuine, burning questions. They've been touched by something in the music, and they need to have some in to make a better connection. Now, moving on to, how can you tell when one of your professional interviewers maybe ain't quite up to the job? Here's a good example. 1987, I was doing interviews, did an interview with a young character in London to promo the League of Crafty Guitarists Tour of Israel. And the young player was actually a DJ. And he wanted to move from DJing into being an interviewer. He is the worst interviewer that I can remember, and that's quite saying something. But there we are. Nevertheless, a young man, he aspires to more. Aspired, fine. So we sat down before the microphone went on, and he said, "Didn't you used to be in Status Quo?"
Yes! No, you're kidding. That is just unbelievable. Oh, I wish I was there.
And when we arrived in Israel, the immigration officer said, "Ah, yes." He said, "I heard an interview you did. It wasn't very good."
Oh, wow.
And professional level, Japan 2003, the very nice young professional publicity lady with the record company said to me, "I've been told you're the Yoda of progressive rock."
Oh, but that's true.
Next question, dear.
You are the Yoda. I must say, in the last 14 months, the journalists we've dealt with have been magnificent.
Yes.
And I think part of this is the internet exposes everyone's weaknesses. So the journalists that really can write and have insight are the survivors. And we are so grateful for everything they have done for us in the last 14 months. Crispy Robot. I love that name, Crispy Robot. Toyah, I have a friend who is a brilliant lyricist, songwriter, has a beautiful singing voice, but pitch-wise is sometimes flat. What vocal exercises can you recommend for vocal artists who wish to improve their pitch? This is such a great question, Crispy, because so often we learn to sing without actually listening to ourselves. Now, my ears get incredibly tired on stage because I'm always positioned next to the drummer, and I only have about an hour and a half of crystal clear hearing before I am mentally exhausted from the noise of the drums. And you can guarantee by an hour and a half into the show, I'm struggling with pitching. So I now wear in-ears, earplugs, everything to keep that external volume away from my inner hearing. Now, I recommend to all singers that you learn off by heart concert pitch A. You learn to sing it without ever having anyone play it to you, because once you have concert pitch A in there as part of your memory, you can sing scales, you can sing key relationships, and you will always find the right pitching. You will even instinctively, as a singer, be able to improvise over another musician's improvisation. It's all about listening, but it's also about listening to your inner ear. Another thing that you can do is take your phone with the dictation app and just have a little recording of scales on the keyboards. You can get those off the internet anywhere. You sing along to them and you record yourself and you see whether you are flat or sharp, and you just work at it. The singers who have perfect pitch usually have wonderful careers, so it's worth working at.
Well, my vocal tips, I warm up with When I Fall in Love in E flat. When I fall in love, it will be forever.
Ever.
Or I'll never fall in love again.
Again.
in a wonderful world like this is. So I suggest, Crispy, your friend cracks out When I Fall in Love in E flat.
I love my husband singing. Carly Enman, did the two of us ever have a moment, no matter how brief, in our careers where we weren't sure whether we wanted to continue pursuing a career in the music industry? About 2 days ago, just the exhaustion of this is my day 2 days ago. An hour of interviews, then I had to listen to 3 master mixes. I had to view 3 video edits and write the video notes, times, everything. Then I had to shoot 4 videos as well as direct them. I just thought, why am I doing this? It never ends.
My wife also built a green screen room in a semi-warehouse all on her own.
If you want these things in your life, you have to make them happen, because this leads to the next question. Do you have anything you want to say about
Yes, I do.
Go.
The first time was in July 1974, when I had to escape the madness, and went to live in New York in February 1977 with no intention of ever returning to the music industry. I had no idea where I would go. I was open to the future, to allow it to guide me. And it sucked me back into the music industry with good people, Daryl Hall, Peter Gabriel, all wonderful stuff. And I was back. And then I escaped again in 1984. And then the dishonesty of our managers in 91 sucked me back in to address that. And then I escaped again in 2010. But King Crimson, a seeking of resolution for this remarkable undertaking, drew me back in 2013 and 2014, and here we are.
I put it a different way. When you've got the talent that my husband has, it's inevitable that he's going to remain and be pulled back into the music industry. And in answer to what motivates us earlier and why we still remain in the music industry, for me, it's become like a bit of a war cry, that I realise that institutionalised ageism, sexism, misogyny, nepotism isn't ever going to stop, and I'm on a mission not to go away.
I like that answer, Lovey.
Sakari, hello, I'd like to ask, what instruments have you used to compose? Well, this might be for me. I actually can compose on guitar, keyboard, computer, and in my head. But Robert, what instruments do you use to compose with?
Well, guitar, acoustic and electric, and they are 2 very different instruments. Keyboard in various forms, like upright piano, mellotron, which doesn't quite count as an instrument, but it's got a keyboard. Piano, electric and acoustic once again, and, as my wife says, holding a space inside and seeing what comes.
I find if I hear a chord or a series of chords, a vocal lead line just comes up in my head. So, and when I'm writing with my writing partner, Simon Darlow, this is how we do it. And he starts playing a beautiful sequence of chords on the guitar and I start singing back. And we just go for it and end up with songs. It's very, very satisfying. Now, we're on to the magic chords. Nigel Seymour, I would love Robert to do a sus4 chord. These are your favourite chords, Nigel. Right. And Stratosodono. Robert, please, a few seconds of chord solo from Sailor's Tale.
All right, well, these are 2 guys. I don't believe any women would ever ask these questions.
I think Sailor's Tale is lovely.
Thank you, dear. And David Singleton's wife, Indeg, also enjoys it, I'm told.
2 very rare women in the world.
Agreed completely. Now, so on to sus chords. Now, this is a bit nerdy stuff, so you're going to have to tell me when to stop, dear. Conventionally, suspended fourth, as let's say we're in D. We're moving from D7 sus4, suspended fourth into G. Conventionally, that would be followed from the 4th to the major 3rd, and then into G. There we are. Or, but we put in the sus. Bollocks. Yeah, all right, bollocks. Now, the interesting thing is in rock music, there is no need of resolution. And a lot of rock music is accepted. We might have a suspended chord, but we do not have to resolve it. So, if we take, for example, here's a D sus. But another way of approaching it, because another suspended note, is the second. If we have the fourth and the second, I hear those as 11th and 9th. We combine the two with this. 9th, 11th. So how to get to G from there? Maybe, and I would put the 9th on the top there, which makes it a little more interesting. Now, in terms of sus4 chords in rock music, which don't have the need to resolve, or in red, I use these, that don't resolve a lot. All right, now we're on from the sus to the sailor's tale. Now this is tell me when to shut up, dear. This is a giant electric flailing banjo of the imagination, and to play like this for very long takes time off my life. It is one of the most demanding things that I do. This is just a flavour of, for example, and then it's a lot goes into that.
Talking of percussive guitar, tomorrow on Sunday lunch, you are going to see my husband play percussive guitar. He is virtually playing a drum beat on guitar. You are going to see him looking in a way you have never, ever...
You've said enough.
Never, ever seen Robert Fripp look in his career. And we are honouring someone that we absolutely adore as a gentle and beautiful human being, and we just want to give a nod and a wink to this wonderful human being that inspired us. So ladies and gentlemen, stay safe. We will see you tomorrow, Sunday lunch, with Sydney, and we cannot wait.
Be well, chums out there.
Lots of love from Toyah.
And from Robert.